Hi there, and welcome to today's service. I'm Elise Hitz, and I'm happy to be stepping in and giving you the sermon for today. I'm going to be reading you the lectionary reading for January 31st. It is Mark 1:21 through 28. They went to Capernaum, and when the Sabbath came, Jesus went into the synagogue and began to teach. The people were amazed at his teaching, because he taught them as one who had authority, not as the teachers of the law. Just then, a man in their synagogue who was possessed by an impure spirit cried out, "What do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." "Be quiet," Jesus said sternly. "Come out of him." The impure spirit shook the man violently and came out of him with a shriek. The people were also amazed. They asked each other, "What is this? A new teaching? And with authority. He even gives orders to impure spirits, and they obey him." News about him spread quickly over the region of Galilee. This story occurs in Capernaum. Capernaum is a small fishing town on the coast of the Sea of Galilee. This was Peter's home turf. This is where he came from. This is where he was rooted. When you hear all those stories about the fishermen, you hear about this area. You hear about Capernaum, you hear about the Sea of Galilee. Really, it reminds me of Burt Lake, of Indian River, you know? It's just this small coastal region where people are really focused on community and being together and fishing, you know? What was Jesus doing in Capernaum? Luckily for us, Mark records it. So Jesus went to the holiest place of Capernaum, the temple, on the holiest day, the Sabbath, and he began to teach. He was unknown. He was a completely anonymous person in this village, but he walked in the temple and began to preach about God without saying who he was or what he represented. But then, while he's preaching or teaching, a man comes in possessed by an impure spirit. Jesus draws the demon out of this man publicly in a place where he is not yet known and where he has not claimed his title of the Son of God yet. However, he cares so much about this man that he is willing to expose himself publicly just because he cares about that one person. I'd like to reemphasize what Jesus said when he was delivering the demon from the spirit of the man. He said, "Come out of him." Notice how he addressed the demon rather than the person. The man had come into the temple, disrupted Jesus' teaching, and exposed him to his students. And yet, Jesus didn't blame him. He understood exactly what was happening, and he knew just how to address it. Has there ever been a time in your life where you got mad at someone based on the way they treated you? I know I have. In fact, it's really second nature for us as humans. When we get mad or offended or we feel attacked, we fight back and we try to defend ourselves. You know, that makes sense. However, that's not what Jesus did. Jesus decided to address the problem rather than the person. I grew up with a retired social worker for my grandma, and she lived with us about 80% of my childhood, so I really got to know what she believed, and she really stepped in a lot when there was fights between my siblings and I, and she would make sure to teach us that we needed to attack the problem rather than the person. She really drilled this into our brains as kids, and I believe that by doing that, she was the light of Jesus in our lives. Whenever there was a disagreement or a misunderstanding, she wanted to make sure that we weren't breaking relationships with each other. At the time, I would have rather just, continued to fight with my siblings because I was obviously right. But now I understand how deeply valuable that lesson was. It's not that my siblings and I had a bad relationship, it's just that we didn't understand that what they say doesn't necessarily represent who they are. In fact, I remember going to sleepovers with my friends and being incredibly distraught by the relationships that they had with their own siblings. I had friends that wouldn't talk to their siblings, that would say really rude things about their siblings, "Oh, we don't talk to her, she's annoying, she's gross, we don't like her." And that was just completely normal to them. And I was just so confused because I was always taught to attack the problem rather than the person. And so when I saw siblings who didn't get along. It just didn't make sense to me because I felt that they should be included, you know? I just wonder what would have been different if they would have been taught to attack the problem rather than the person. In Capernaum, Jesus taught this exact lesson, not through what he said, but by leading through example. He was physically teaching the temple goers other lessons, I'm sure, but he made sure to demonstrate his compassion firsthand so that the witnesses might pick up on it and learn to be more understanding. It's obvious in the text that this was a big deal to the people as well, as they were all talking amongst each other. Who is this guy? What's he doing here? He's literally taking impure spirits out of humans. What? It doesn't say that Jesus calmed down an unruly man or that he, kicked someone out after they were disruptive and they didn't belong in the temple. No, it says that Jesus was able to take out the impure spirit. They understood that lesson because Jesus didn't say, "You, leave." He said, "No, come out of that man." He separated the demon and the person. Can you think of a situation where you've let someone else take the blow so that your reputation wouldn't be broken? Or maybe you lashed out in rage at someone who didn't understand how badly they were hurting you. Would it have helped you to attack the problem rather than the person? I honestly believe that God very specifically chose this situation to come up as the first miracle in the book of Mark. It kind of draws in the attention of readers, like a heated what reaction? It's an example of how to use knowledge and understanding to prevent yourself from committing an unintentional sin. In my understanding, the root of sin is when you break relationships with each other, whether it be with another friend, your mom, a parent, or with God. And so, when Jesus attacked the problem rather than the person, he was preventing that sin from occurring. So, as you interact with people in your daily life, and in this completely crazy world, and the political drama that's going on, please remember to attack the problem rather than the person. We don't want to break relationships with each other. We want to stay as united as possible because in this time, we only have each other and each other's relationships to hold on to, and God's relationship, of course, but we want to make sure that we are together as a community and with God so that we don't attack any problem, and we don't attack any people. We do attack the problems because we want to be together. We want to attack the problem, not the person. I hope you all have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you again in person pretty soon.